All right. So Portland Open Studios, 2025, the new year, new Portland Open Studios. So, Josh, I was hoping you could start us off telling us a little about the history of our organization and what is Portland Open Studios for the people who are new.
Yeah, sounds good. So I became a participating artist in 2019, and I've been on the board for a few years. Um, the organization started in 1998, and it has been stewarded by a rotating cast of leaders and board members and volunteers. It's a volunteer run nonprofit. So all of this is artist run. We're a group of artists who support each other, and this event is for artists by artists. It's also for the public because they get to meet all of you. We've been around since 1998. We jury in usually about 100 or a little bit over 100 local artists within the Portland city boundaries to participate. And we break that down by neighborhood. So you'll be in Southeast or Southwest or Northwest, or sometimes we split Southeast because it's so big. You will get to know your neighbors who are fellow artists. You will have the opportunity to get further involved as a community leader, which is a great way to get to know more artists and give back. This is an organization that or an event that you really get out what you put in. So we're doing a lot to try and foster a community around. I mean, we lead and we make this happen, but we also work to make sure all of you can help as well, as much as you want to. And we lost my place. I'm looking at the slide. Yeah, I think I'm about done with the history part. Sorry, I just totally trailed off. I'm getting distracted by Zoom issues.
Okay. So eligibility is pretty simple. You can be any kind of artist, all visual media except film. So all visual artists except film. And you have to have a studio space within Portland city limits. And that rule is fairly new. Josh, do you know when they changed it? I'm not sure when they changed it.
It very recently, but it may have changed back and forth over the years.
Yeah.
I know the organization actually started where the founder was in Lake Oswego, and over the years, sometimes the boundaries have included some of the suburbs, but we get so many applicants and so many participating artists, it makes it hard for people to get to all of the studios, and we've tightened it up. And so it just makes sense now. We're Portland Open Studios, and we're tightening it up to just the official city limits.
Yeah. I mean, it is called Portland Open Studios, and I know that's really disappointing for people who are like just a little bit outside the city limits and have participated in the past and now they can't. So we're really sorry about those cases. But if you have a studio space that's in the city, it doesn't have to be your full-time studio. You can get a temporary space and just for October. And so that's an option. You're allowed to apply. You don't have to live within the city limits. You just have to have a studio space that's open to the public during the tour. And then I should also mention for eligibility, it's every person has to apply individually. So you can't apply as a group. Even if you are in a shared studio space or something like that, each individual artist has to do their own application. Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the things that we offer to you, because you're paying a participation fee to get involved with this. It's kind of an investment, and we want this to pay off for you, not just in art sales, but we're helping you, especially if you're a new artist, you're new to doing this professionally. We're going to help you meet fellow artists and start to get an idea of what you're doing and meet patrons. You're joining an amazing artist community, like it says on the slide, young to old. Portland is an amazing art city. There is so many of us doing so much different stuff. You will have the opportunity to get together with your neighborhood group, meet more people, get further involved as a community leader or otherwise volunteer.
Sabrina Hinkhouse, or one other.
So accepted artists are going to have an artist page on our website. Every single one of you who's accepted is going to have their own individual page with their name, their studio location, and a little bio, an artist statement, and some images of your work. And people get really excited to visit certain studios that they find on the website. They'll come see you and they're like, oh my God, I saw your stuff. I really wanted to make sure I made it out here. So the information that you submit for us is going to help us make your artist page great. You're going to have access to some information that we've put together over the years as far as professional development materials. You're going to get some yard signs, one of which is, it just says Portland Open Studios, and at least two are going to have your number and an arrow. So everybody's going to have a studio number, and you're going to be able to put out these little signs in front of your house or on the corner down the street that are going to point people towards your studio. So you're going to be very visible and easy to find. We're also going to help promote everybody by not only we're promoting the event on social media and through actual advertising and press, but everybody is going to have the opportunity to sign up for an Instagram takeover. So later in the year, as we get closer, like in the summer, people can start doing a one-day takeover where we're going to expect you to post some of your art to the grid. You can post something about yourself. We want you to put some stuff in the stories. We love it if you do like a live feed of you working in the studio and give people a little preview of what you do. And we also just started doing something called a preview show. And that's going to be in September, in the weeks leading up to the event. We hope everybody will contribute one piece of art to be shown in an exhibition. And that's going to be public, but it's also going to be your opportunity to pick up.
I have enough candles.
Okay.
But I'm watching a Zoom meeting, so I have to go.
Oh, found the right cards.
Okay.
You mute yourself, please.
Yeah, I have to
Not
go.
very quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a,
Hit mute, please.
we'll be doing something called a preview show in September, and we hope everybody will participate by putting in one piece of art. It's going to be a big salon style show. The public is welcome. It's also going to be when you pick up your yellow signs and maybe other materials that we might be providing to you, like maybe some postcards. What we do and don't print every year changes depending on the budget. So you get to participate in the preview show. You get to grow your contact lists, which is a big deal, especially if you're getting started doing this professionally. Everybody who visits is somebody that you have an opportunity to get an email from and stay in contact with. And last but not least, this can and will be a big event for art sales. We want everybody to succeed. We want everybody to make that participation feedback like multifold. And I can tell you that I have always done great. It's like my biggest sales event of the year. And yeah, people come in from the gorge. People come from out of town. You're going to have all kinds of new buyers come and be excited to see your work. It's great to make something small sometimes so that people have accessible work if they're new to purchasing art and collecting. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to make sales and even meet people who might commission work or stay in touch with you for perhaps maybe you meet somebody who's a gallerist and they want to keep you in mind. So this is great professional development.
Yes, agreed. So in exchange for all of that, here's what you're expected to do to make sure that you have a successful event. So if you get juried in, we kind of expect everyone to participate fully. And this is an entirely artist-run event. So keep that in mind is the whole board is run by artists. You all are part of it. So all the people who are part of it are doing sort of like an equal part. Like we all have to step up to make it happen. So think about it like that. And you're going to be put into a regional community along with the rest of your neighborhood on the map. And it's those are broken into southeast, northeast, southwest, northwest, and north usually. And then within your group, there's going to be a community leader. So you might want to start thinking about now if you do get juried in, it might be good to volunteer as the community leader for your neighborhood group. I did that last year and it was an amazing experience because I got to meet all the other artists in my community, and you'll really get a lot more out of it if you get really involved with the other artists and you get to meet them and see their work. And then during the tour, you can send each other back and forth. So you're kind of allies. So you'll have to attend 2 artist meetings. One is, I believe, in May, and that'll just be a Zoom meeting. And then the other one is the preview show that we mentioned, which is not so much a meeting, it's more of a party, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that is mandatory that you have to be at that event because that's the day when you get your yellow signs distributed.
If there is something that totally prevents you from making it, also we would love for you to coordinate with one of your fellow artists to pick up your materials, but we definitely want everybody to be able to go.
Yeah. So if you can't make it, you can't make it. That's partly what the community leaders are for. They're in charge of making sure all the yellow signs get to everyone in their neighborhood. So it's actually kind of a fun job to hand out the signs to your fellow artists. And then at the end of the event, in October, after the 2 weekends are done, you have to keep those yellow signs and get them back to us. They cost money. We have to replace them when they don't get returned. So it's really important to return them. And then you just need to have your studio space open during the 4 dates of the tour in October. And it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You need to be there in the studio. You need to have your yellow signs out. You need to have the doors open to the public to come through, and you need to be showing your art. There needs to be some kind of demonstration or educational element. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I've always had like different pieces in different stages of development so I can explain my process to people. The people are coming because they're interested and curious about your art. So you want to have some stuff to show them. And you really do get out what you put in. It's been my experience. The years when I put more in, I get more out of it. That's how it works.
Yeah. One thing I really love is that, so I emphasized the potential for sales and the potential for new patrons, but actually a lot of the folks that come in my door, they're not necessarily looking to buy art, but they are fascinated to meet us and learn how we do what we do. And the more opportunities you get to share how you make your work with interested people, it can really be a boost. It increases your own confidence in your work, and it makes you better at selling yourself.
Yes. So, Josh, you want me to talk about this one since I was a community leader?
Yeah, go ahead.
What happens when you step up to be a community leader? Like, let's say you get juried in and you're at the meeting in May and we're choosing community leaders and you volunteer, you say, I'll be community leader. So what are you expected to do? It's not really that much work. It's actually kind of a lot of fun. You get an email list of everyone who's in your neighborhood, all the other artists, and you reach out to them and you make sure everybody is on track and has what they need and knows what they're doing. And if anyone has questions, a lot of it is just taking those questions and directing them back to us and then reporting back. So you're kind of the go-between between like the board and all the rest of your fellow artists. And it's optional. You can plan get-togethers. People have parties, they visit each other's studios. This is totally up to you how you want to do it. You can have little practice open studios where your fellow artists come through and share each other's work and talk about art before the event. And so it's kind of like you're just making friends with all the other artists. And then you can also strategize for the event. So you can some people have done like a passport thing where they print little cards and everybody stamps the card and visitors go around to all the studios in the neighborhood and then they get a prize if they get all of them stamped, things like that. And then the prize would be like everybody gives some note cards or something. So people have done things like that. You certainly don't have to, but it can be a lot of fun and get people excited. And then, yeah, you just have to be at that preview show in September. Make sure you pass out the signs to your group. Make sure you collect all the signs. The community leader gets all the signs at the end and hands them back to us. And then because the community leaders are stepping up and being really involved, you might be featured in an article. You might be featured on the Instagram more than the other artists. So it's a little perk that we give if you decide to do that. Okay, so the fees, there's a $25 application fee. Josh, sorry, did you want to take this one?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, $25 application fee. That's non-refundable. If you're new to applying for artistic opportunities, that's pretty standard. And then if you are juried in, you're going to be paying a $250 participation fee. Most people elect to pay that all at once. We love that. We prefer that. If you do need to, you can break that in half. I think you have another month to pay the remainder. You also have access to apply to 2 different scholarships. The scholarships just mean we're going to waive your $250 participation fee. So one of them, the Kimberly Gales Emerging Artist Scholarship, is open to anybody 20 to 30 years of age. And the other one, Molly Cliff Hiltz Scholarship for Historically Marginalized Artists, is for artists of all ages from historically marginalized communities. And you'll have the option to, on the application, on the main application, you'll have the option to say, yes, I'm interested in applying for one of these, and we'll get back to you with more information on how to do that.
Right. So on the application, you just check a little box. Yes, I want to apply. And then you'll be hearing from us. That's all you have to do on the application. Okay, so here's our jury for this year. It's an amazing group of people. I have a little bio for each one of them. So Kyra Watkins is, she's an educator who works a lot with local youth, specifically, and she's a public artist and digital artist, and she's from Cincinnati, Ohio. She served as PSU's artist in residence during the 2023-24 academic year, during which time she created the new Jason Washington mural now on display in Smith Memorial Student Union at Portland State University. Linda Tessner is a writer, curator, advisor, and has served on multiple juries throughout her 40-plus year career in the arts field. She's also served as a trainer, panelist, and lecturer to multiple art museums and organizations. Eric Fry is an intermediate artist and a combat veteran. His artistic practice includes sculpture, photography, and archiving, and he is the owner of the art gallery Salem on the Edge in Salem with his partner Anna. And Evan Benally Atwood is a queer Dene creative using filmmaking, music, painting, writing, and photography to document stories, uplift community, and empower marginalized voices. So this group of people, we're really proud to have gotten this jury together. And hopefully they will do a great job during the jury process. So tips for a successful application. So what the jury are going to be looking at. So we don't have anything to do with the jury. They're totally independent from us. independent third party, and we don't have anything to do with the jurying process. We have an employee, Charlotte, who handles that, the whole jury process. It's a separate thing from us. So when they're looking at your application, they're going to be looking for three things: quality of work, which is the art visually engaging, skillfully executed, thought-provoking? Is it good artwork? And that is very subjective. So that's the part that's super subjective, and we can't really do anything about that. There's a new jury every year, and different humans have different taste in art. They're going to like some art more than other. Professional presentation, this you do have control over. This is, are your photos good? Is your art, like if it's a sculpture, does it have like a clear background, good angles? If it's a painting, is it cropped well? And do the photos have good lighting? For your written communication, like your artist statement, is your writing clear? Is your application thorough? Did you go through and answer all the questions well? And then consistent voice. So you don't have to have 4 pieces that look identical or anything like that, but you want them to be consistent for this. They are looking for consistency here, not versatility. So keep that in mind. If you work in a lot of different mediums or different styles, it's best to choose just one thing that you do really well to showcase, and choose 4 images. So your 4 images, pay close attention to what format they want it in. It has to be a 4x4-inch square at 300 DPI, and the file size has to be 5 megabytes maximum.
Mhm.
So,
I want to add, especially for new folks, especially for folks who are new to applying for art opportunities, something that I just wish more schools drilled into more art students is read the instructions. Always read the instructions, read them a couple times, do the application, make sure, double check it against the instructions. You will be head and shoulders above some other artists just by doing that. And it's part of how you get it.
Yeah.
So that means what size file for the pictures? It means, is this one thing supposed to be about me or my work? Or how do they want this thing written? Yeah.
Yes. And so one little note about the artist statement and the bio on the application. We have a separate field for artist statement and for bio. And the reason for this is the jurors, they're going to see the artist statement, but they won't see the bio because it's a blind jury. So we don't want them to know who you are or be able to identify you necessarily by what they see. So the artist statement is about the artwork itself. So we don't want, like anything that they could use to identify who you are in that part. So it's about your inspiration, your process, things like that. The bio is like your schooling, your experience, any relevant things like that.
We have a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, why do you require a square format? If you make work that is tall or long, I hear you. It can be difficult to photograph that work without a lot of negative space on the top or the sides.
Yeah.
I can speak for my own applications over the years. Most of my paintings are rectangular, but for the purposes of this application, I've cropped rectangular paintings down to a square based on what I think looks nice as a composition. And people who are looking at the website, they're seeing square images. They know that everybody's not making square artwork. As far as why we do the square format, that was a tradition that was in place before I came along. And I think it's for consistency and ease of making the pages look so that you're not trying to work with a whole bunch of different people's images that are shaped completely differently. It streamlines the process for building the web pages and building the viewer, like whatever people are going to see when they're looking for your studio.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's also probably I'm thinking the jury process because I know they get hundreds and hundreds of images, and if you have like a long skinny thing, it's not going to take up much of the screen. And they have to click through these like however hundreds of and however many. And they got to click through, they do just spend like a few minutes on each one. So they're just like doing the arrow key looking at hundreds of images of art. So it's consistency for the jurors, I think also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's why I emailed her and asked.
Okay.
Said, oh, it's just Bob.
So Josh, you want to tell us the timeline?
Sure. So it's February right now, and the application is open, and that's why you all are blessing us with your presence. And that application is open until the end of the month. Well, 5 o'clock at the end of the month, so don't be tardy on that last day. Apply early. That's always, I mean, generally, don't procrastinate, but it's a $25 application fee, and your application is gonna be better the more time you give yourself to do your writing and figure out what images you're gonna use. So best practices, don't wait till the last second. In March, we're going to be notifying artists who were accepted by the jury, and you'll hear from us on March 25th. And you have to confirm your participation with us by the end of March. You will then have until May 1st to pay the participation fee, which is $250. You can pay it all at once, or you can break it in half. But it has to be finished being paid by May 1st. In May, we have our big artist meeting on Zoom. We're going to be, it's going to be a little bit like this. It's for everybody accepted who wants to attend. We want everybody to attend. We're going to be giving out info about what all comes next, and it's a big Q&A. It's an opportunity to kind of see each other if you haven't in person and get a feel for who we all are and who's out there. September is going to be our preview show. So leading up to that September 5th date, we're going to be contacting people about contributing an artwork for the preview show. Now, you're not strictly required, but you're basically required to participate. And you can choose a portion of your artwork sale to benefit Portland Open Studios. So I did 50-50 last year. I believe we're just leaving it open. Cedar, is there a range that we're asking people to choose between?
For what?
For how much goes toward the organization?
Oh, yeah, I think we haven't decided that yet, but expect about 50-50, I think.
There's going to be a little bit of wiggle room for you to decide.
Yeah.
At least that's what we did last year. And that preview show party is also when you're going to get your yellow yard signs. So that's going to be 6 to 8 on September 5th. We're going to get back to you later in the year with a definite location for that when we start soliciting your artwork to be included in the show. And then it's October and the big event comes, and it's 2 weekends in a row. It's always the second and third weekends of October. So that's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday. It's 4 different days, and everybody will tell you that you could be super busy one day, a little slow another day. The days could all be similar. They can be very different. Weather can be really different. So
Depends a lot on the weather. Yeah.
it depends a little bit on the weather for sure. Yeah. So you got 4 days to make the most of the event, and it's amazing. And by the second weekend, if you're new at this, by the second weekend, you're going to be that much more confident with setting up your work and greeting people and selling yourself and describing your art process. So it's going to start it's more and more fun the more used to it you get. And you're going to love this.
Thank you. Okay, so we wanted to give Chris a moment to talk to us about his experience last year as a first-time applicant and first-time participant in Portland Open Studios. So, Chris, did you want to say some things to the new people?
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to share um, some of my experience as a newbie last year. So I I was really excited to be selected, and I was just really honored. And at first, I was a little bit nervous when I was showing my art during the tour. But as Josh said, you get more comfortable over time because you get to know, I mean, people are genuinely interested in going to your studio and seeing your art. And so there's a really good feeling about that. So that curiosity about the art, it just makes you feel good. And then you start to get a spiel about your art. You kind of get to be able to give them a quick synopsis of your art and your process, which comes maybe the second weekend, you get really good at it. Another thing is pacing yourself and just being prepared to give information about yourself and your art. Since you're going to be repeating it over and over, you'll get good at a summary of your art and yourself. Another thing is I learned, because I was lucky enough to be in a group studio setting. So I had two or three other artists that were showing with me. And I was able to like ask questions of the other artists because they have done the studio tour before. So there were certain things that I didn't know, like from a professional artist standpoint, that they helped me with, some simple things like, how are they going to pay you? There has to be a method of payment, and there should be multiple methods of payment on how you receive the money. It's also be prepared, like I said, for the sales. Get plenty of rest. I mean, you're going to feel somewhat exhausted on the first weekend because you're going to be talking to so many people, and you're just going to go over and over and over.
When's your turn?
That process of talking
Thank
about
God, none.
your Hello?
I love how we keep seeing that slide.
So that process of talking about yourself and your art over and over and over can be somewhat exhausting. So you really have to pace yourself and get plenty of rest. It's a blast. I had a really good time. I didn't know what to expect, but as time went on, I just felt more comfortable and more confident and just relaxed and just really happy that all these people were really interested in seeing your art and talking to you about your art. So I think for me, it was a super positive experience, and I encourage you to apply and just sort of be prepared for, like, those types of things. So more power, just do it. You're gonna have a lot of fun.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I agree. So I've done it. The first time I participated was 2016. So I've done it quite a few years, and I agree. It is exhausting, especially as an introvert, but it's very worthwhile, and you make these beautiful connections with people, and that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing. And it's so exciting to meet someone who is excited about your art. So if you go into it with a positive attitude and like just be enthusiastic and ready to just throw yourself into it, you'll get a lot out of this event. So I'm going to go through the chat now, make sure that we get to every single question. So if you have any questions, add them to the chat and we'll answer them. So Heather, the address has to have Portland, Oregon. Yes, and also if you go in Google Maps and you put in Portland, Oregon, it actually shows you where the city limits are around Portland. So you have to be inside that red line in Google Maps for Portland, Oregon. Okay, what are the studio requirements? Are there guidelines for how the public would access the space, walking through a backyard, through another business, etc.? There are no guidelines. Wherever your studio is, the people will come to you.
I would add that it needs to be accessible.
Yeah, it needs to be, so it doesn't need to be wheelchair accessible. But there is a checkbox on the application that says yes or no wheelchair accessible. We just want to note whether it is or not so that visitors will see that when they go to your artist page.
True.
Yeah.
It should
So
be safe, however. It should
Yeah.
be safe to navigate the space. We don't want you to have a bunch of cords all over the floor where people are trying to walk, or a wrinkle in the rug
Right.
that people can trip on. So be mindful of how you set up for visitors.
yeah. You want to set up a clear pathway for people. You want to have signs clearly posted. But it's very common for people to have their studio in their backyard and for people to walk through their garage or through their backyard or through their front room of their house or whatever your setup is. Just be prepared for guests. See, can 2 or more artists share a location if all are accepted? Yes.
Yes.
No problem. Shared studios are fine. If
They
you
do. Every individual is responsible for a participation fee and for being juried in. So if you have met those requirements, you totally can share a space.
if you have a studio at home and do not or cannot have people coming into your home, is it possible to join with other artists to share your art in their studio? Yes, that is allowed. As long as you're within the city limits and you are ready to welcome visitors. Yeah. Will you be looking for someone to help with organizing, reviewing applications, keeping track of fees and spreadsheets? We have that covered right now. We have an incredible board right now of 5 people, and we're all working really hard. But we are looking to add people to our resource council, which is a group of people who we will email whenever we have a need for volunteer help. So if you want to join our resource council, we would love that. And please get in contact with us. The best way is to just email us. I'll put my email in the chat. It's just cedar@portlandopenstudios.com. And just tell me you would like to join as a volunteer, and I'll add you to that list. And then we'll send out an email anytime we have a specific need. Okay, where are we in these questions?
I believe Heather was also wondering about if we can share data about how much people make, how many visitors people get. I don't know that we have an archive of that from over the years, and the leadership has turned over the last year, but I know that most people make hundreds or thousands of dollars. Usually I would say I get at least 10 visitors a day. That can fluctuate. Your total number of visitors might be like 50 or more, but that might be distributed a little bit unevenly. You never know.
Yeah. I don't think there is any like central tracking of it, but at least in the inner Southeast neighborhood, we definitely compared notes last year. And I actually, for the first time ever, tracked how many visitors I got last year. I got 150 visitors over the whole event.
Yep.
And
That's not unusual.
yeah. But I know that depending where on your location is a huge factor in this. Like a lot of people who are further out might get a little fewer visitors. That's normal to expect. And if you're a first-time participant, maybe you might not get as many the first time, because what happens is people come back to the same artists every year. So you might get like more visitors if you do it multiple years in a row.
And you'll organically start reaching more people.
Yeah.
So that second and third year, you are going to grow your visitors.
So I would say like just be prepared for it to be slow, possibly. Like don't have high expectations, but then be ready because you might get a crowd. You just never know.
Yeah, I would second that. Be ready because
Be ready.
I was like, there's just a trickle. Okay, this is just going to be how it is. But wow, a lot of people do show up.
We do. One way, actually, I want to stress this. I mentioned it briefly. One way you can be ready is not everybody is able to collect art that costs $500 or a couple $1,000, but it's really great to create smaller, more accessibly priced art, especially if it's exclusive to the event. People love that. And then people who just want to meet you and say hi and like dabble might be excited to leave your studio with a $30 small piece of artwork.
Yeah.
And now that is the first thing they bought from you and usually not the last.
Yeah, and I highly recommend if you have the type of art that allows this to have some kind of merchandise like note cards or some little thing that's like $5, $10.
Yes.
The people who weren't planning to spend any money might spend $5 to support you and take something home as a little souvenir. So Elizabeth, the 50% commission on sales, that's only for the preview show. That's just, it's a fundraiser for our organization. And that helps pay for things like the yellow signs and that kind of stuff, and advertising. You get to keep 100% of your sales from your studio. Yeah. Yeah, the commission fee is only, sorry, that was unclear. That's only for that preview show. So in the preview show in September, we ask everybody to contribute a piece that goes up into this pop-up art show and priced at $500 or less because we want to keep it affordable. And then it's going to be on a Friday night. It's going to be a big party, like date night. We're going to have a party atmosphere. So like wear your party dress, bring a date. And then we're hoping to attract the public to come in and, you know, like drink champagne and look at the art and get excited about meeting all these new artists. And hopefully you'll sell your piece, maybe, maybe not. So that 50% commission is only if your piece sells in that show.
Can I answer Bianca's question?
Yes.
Bianca is asking, how many pieces of art should you have? How many do you got? What can you fit in your space that is still visible? Because also, if you have a minimalist aesthetic, it's okay not to go overboard. But I put everything that I think is worth showing. I put everything up salon style. I put prints on tables. I fill the space with art so people can spend time looking and considering purchasing.
In my space, I had a little shelf that I can swap out pieces, like I had a stack of other paintings, so I could swap it out and put something up for someone who's interested in the stack of paintings. So that was a nice flexibility if you can have such a thing.
We also have a question.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Bianca has another question that I thought. Oh, I'm skipping Karen. The location for the preview show, I don't know if it's finalized yet, but we want to do it in the same place we did last year. Is it finalized?
It's not yet. We won't know until a little later in the year because we have to line up the space, make sure we secure the venue. Last year it was at the Olympic Mills building, and that was a really great location. So we'll maybe try to get that location again, but we don't know yet. So one of the questions
building is, it's in the southeast warehouse area near the tracks, and it's a very recognizable landmark because it's like a mustard yellow tall building that you probably noticed, and it's going to be First Friday, so that's when Inner Southeast Portland does its own art walk. So it's a great way to like kind of, if we can get that location, kind of hitch onto that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the preview show. It's going to be very fun. So somebody asked, is it okay to have some of the work exhibited outside the studio? I have good covered space and a small studio. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever your setup is, you work with what you got. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Bianca
Someone
was
asked about
asking specifically about, somebody was asking specifically about, can I set up my living room as a gallery because my studio is small?
yes.
And I wanted to just say yes. Just be mindful that you're letting strangers into your home. So where do you draw the line? And so I don't let folks in past my garage, but if it's something you're comfortable with, then knock yourself out.
Yeah. You can close off doors, hang curtains, like say do not enter, like make a little space that they're allowed into so that you don't have strangers just like roaming through your home. Yeah, but whatever your setup is, that's kind of the appeal of this whole event is people are so curious about artists and they want to see where you work and they want to see everything. And they know you're just a person and they want to connect with you as a person. So
Mhm.
don't worry too much about it being perfect. Just set it up and be welcoming and have a nice display if you can.
Yeah. I just noticed Buff asked business cards, postcards for folks to take away with them. And I think it's a good idea because it gives a way to contact you after the event. Because sometimes people do actually want to buy something after the event.
Yeah.
So having a postcard or a business card is a really good thing for your sales. And also
business cards, like, you should have business cards for sure.
Yes.
And also, sometimes folks elect to make a special card, like a postcard of their own that is specifically for Open Studios. Like they can distribute it before Open Studios and let people know. Cedar has been great about making those. So if you're curious, she'd probably be happy to share how she did that.
Yeah, I have a note about business cards and stuff. So I actually make mine. I print out postcards and then cut them in half to make them into bookmarks. People love it. So it's just like my art on the front and then on the back is my website. But I would also make sure that you, besides just having postcards or business cards to hand out, make sure you have a physical email sign up sheet that people can write there. You want to collect their emails in the moment because a lot of the time they will just if you just hand them a card, they'll take the card and then they'll lose it and you'll never hear from them again and you don't have their contact info. So get that email address.
Yeah.
I would get in the habit of like getting them to sign up for the email before you hand them the card.
Yep.
Yeah. Any more questions, anyone? Or did we miss any questions? Did we skip over anything?
I'm double checking too.
And keep in mind, if any questions come up for you after we close this meeting, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. We're artists just like you. We've done this event. We've successfully applied, in the past. So if you have any questions about the application or how it works or anything, we're here and we are checking our email. So I'm Cedar at portlandopenstudios.com, Josh at portlandopenstudios.com, Chris at portlandopenstudios.com. You can also just go to the website and click around. There's a lot of information on there. There's a For Artists page. And all of this information, most of it is on the application page. So when you go there, read through it again.
One thing I'd like to add is that I'm so glad all of you are interested in applying. Some folks that apply probably won't get in. Hopefully everybody does. But if you aren't accepted, if you're not juried in, you're still amazing. And it gives you the opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to attend Portland Open Studios and go check out people's studios, see what they're doing, and that will help you be even more prepared the next time you apply.
So we got a couple more questions. Elizabeth says, could you speak more about the consistent voice piece? Would you like to see a series? Okay to include figurative and abstract? So I would say it is okay to include figurative and abstract. It doesn't have to be all in the same series. You want it to be stylistically the same, I would think. Like for me, it's helpful to have the same color palette in all the pieces, but I know everyone works in different mediums and different kinds of work. So
Yeah.
but you just
Yeah.
want it to be like when somebody looks at it, they could tell the same artist made
Yes.
all four things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you try to keep participating artists to a particular number? Let's say all the artists who apply are great. Would you still need to turn artists away? So it's the jury scores. They have a scoring sheet, and I think it's the top 70% that get in. And that's how that works. So that's why different years we have slightly different numbers of people, because it depends how many applicants we get. It usually ends up around 100. One year there was like 120. I think it's been under 100 maybe, but it's just the top 70%. And we don't have any part in that. The jury does their thing, and so that's pretty stiff competition if you think about it. 3 people out of 10 are going to not get in. So if you don't get in, don't let it get you down. It's, it's normal and expected. And I have applied and not gotten in before. It happens. So, and it just, a lot of this just depends on the jury, and it's a different jury every year. So if you don't get in, try again next year and don't worry about it. Okay, I think that's it, unless there are any last questions. And let everyone enjoy their evening.
Yeah, thanks for attending. We're really happy to see all of you. We're
Thank
excited.
you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see a lot of applications pouring in. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.